A one and a two and a chick-a-boom a chick.
Well, everybody, I'm usually starting a podcast episode from the comfort of my office, looking into my computer screen, but today it is special. It is unique. As I glance over here, I see a longtime friend and client, Bret Oleksyn with Oddfellows Contracting. There's this cool podcast studio here in the town that I live in Brighton, Michigan, and it's called The Speakeasy. They offered me bourbon on the way in. I turned it down because it's 10 a.m. Thought it was a little...
On a Monday.
Did you turn it down?
On a Monday. Yeah, 10 a.m. on a Monday.
Okay. We both turned it down. But I thought, you know what? It'd be awesome to do a live podcast, bring in one of my longtime clients for a couple reasons. One, to tell his story. Part of what the Remodelers on the Rise podcast is about is sharing examples and stories of other remodelers. That can inspire the remodelers listening to it. You're going to hear something that goes, man, I could do that, or I could try that. It helps build your confidence, clarity on how to build a successful remodeling business and become a remodeler on the rise. See how I did that? And it also is just fun to hang out with somebody that I enjoy being around. So we are going to, it feels a little awkward to kind of have these microphones here, but it's also very fun. So we're going to start, one other thing I wanted to mention. Bret's story has to do with kind of going from, let's talk revenue first, $850,000 a year, 12, 13 years ago, after being in business for 10 or 15 years. And this past year, he did $5.2 million in revenue. That should give us some pause. The key is that it is not one thing that he did to go from there to there. Like I say a lot of times, it's not, finding some magic bullet. It's a combination of a lot of little things and consistently improving that has taken him from here to here, and it's going to continue to take him to the next level. So it'll be interesting to unpack that, to hear his story, to hear the things that have happened to get there. And now I think, as a professional podcaster, I turn to you and I say, Bret, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Kyle. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. Did you want to say something else?
Oh, I was just going to say it's actually quite a thrill. I've had a lot of thoughts that I wanted to share about our experience with Kyle Hunt and in his coaching, and I'm excited to share.
Awesome. So why don't we start by you giving just a little introduction on who you are, what you're about, and then we'll kind of unpack the story.
Sure. Well, as Kyle said, my name is Bret Oleksyn, and I own Oddfellows Contracting, and we are in our 33rd year.
You don't
of
look
business.
a year over 29 years old, Bret. I don't understand how that is mathematically possible.
Good coaching.
Oh,
so I have no stress, right?
Yeah. 33 years. Congrats.
Yeah, and we picked up the likes of Kyle Hunt about 12 years, 13 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
2009.
Yeah. Did I have similar hair?
Oh, yeah, it was a little bit longer, a little more frequent, in between hairs, follicles, whatever.
Yeah.
But still the same charm and wit and smarts. We've been blessed by that.
Appreciate that. So tell us about kind of maybe your full background. Were you always in the trades? Tell us about this name, this Oddfellows Contract, this kind of unique name. Unpack a little bit of that.
Yeah, I guess I always thought of myself as a least likely person to get into remodeling because I didn't have an uncle, I didn't have a neighbor, a father, or anyone that I was close to that did remodeling or even carpentry. So I don't know why I got into it, but I'm glad I did because it was very fitting to me once I did. But grew up as a farm boy in southwest Michigan and didn't have any formal education. And so I went into sales because people told me I had a good gift of gab, and I figured, well, I might as well use that to make a living. And due to necessity, some things didn't work out down that road. I won't go down that road because that's not what we're here for. But what I did do
Well, hang on.
is I recovered by getting into remodeling and carpentry.
Okay. We don't want to go down that rabbit hole?
Well, there's just no fruit there.
Okay.
All it did is it served, in my life anyway, it served as a impetus to get me into a different career vocation. And at that time, I had met some people that had done some remodeling before. And so at that point, I made the deep dive into remodeling,
Gotcha.
carpentry. I was real green. I remember it took me 8 hours to hang my first exterior door, and then it was just barely lockable for the night, and I had to finish it the next day.
But isn't it, and I'm not going to make you share more about when you said, and then this happened, but isn't it interesting that even something that maybe you look back on and say, then I went down that, trail and it was not fruitful, but look at how it allowed you to pivot into something that turned into your vocation, turned into your ability to find something that you're passionate about, build a company. So it's interesting that even when and I'm just assuming and might look at something as failure, or somebody listening to this who's like, you know what, here I am thinking 8 years into my business, it's still not going well, I should have done this, I should have done that. You know what, it's good and wise to look in the rearview mirror and learn from it, but it's even better to learn from it and move forward. So
yeah, surely everything that we experience in life can be a building block, a learning lesson, a nugget, if you will, to continue to propel us forward in life.
Good. All right. So it took you 8 hours to hang that, and then what happened?
Well, then I realized that the company that I was working for was on kind of shaky ground, and so I did the unthinkable. I started my own business. I thought I knew enough. Oh boy, was I wrong. I remember the first years thinking to myself that my customers, or the prospective people that might be customers, they could possibly even know more than me. And so that was kind of unsettling for a while, but I was a quick study. I learned a lot, had friends that I could ask questions of, and obviously 33 years later, we've done something right. We got this far.
Excellent. So the name Oddfellows Contracting, where did that name come from?
Well, exhaustion. And I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek. I did start the business with a partner named Dave, and Dave and I realized that to get a name on a builder's license, it either had to be the builder's license, the builder's name, that was the licensure, whatever, and or it had to be a company name. So we thought about to find a company name. Dave and Bret this, Great Lakes this, Capital City that, Central Michigan. All the names just seemed to be just like everybody else's name. And we were in our mid-20s, and we might have had a beer. And I said, Dave, we're just a couple of fellas doing odd jobs. Let's just call ourselves Odd Fellows and check the box and get this off the to-do list. And it was almost that silly. And he says, I don't care what you call us, just get us work. Dave was more the technician, and at that point, I was still trying to be the salesman of the business, and then show up for the day job with my tool belt on as well.
Excellent.
And so Odd Fellows started with that, but it really quickly turned into a meaningful name to me, because every place that I went, every person I spoke to, I kept hearing, you're the only one that called back, you're the only one that showed up, you're the only one that followed through, and I kept thinking, that's odd. And so I wanted to wear the Odd name, because in an industry so packed with disappointment, I wanted to stand out as odd.
I like it. Yeah, and we'll talk about how we kind of use that name as you went down to kind of emphasize that, right? If we look the same, talk the same, and act the same as everybody else, then the customers are going to just look at price. And price is a terrible place to compete. There's always someone willing to go out of business sooner than you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I went back in my records. It's a few MacBooks ago, and I looked at when was the time that I sat down with Bret and Chris Oleksyn, and it was October 4th, 2009. Man, time flies.
Yes.
Man, time flies. Where was your business when we kind of connected? And then what we're going to do is kind of try to go piece by piece. What did we do, and how did we work to continue to refine that business? But when you reflect back on that fateful day of October 4th, 2009, where I walked into your office, where was the business at that point?
The business was in my home. My wife and I had an office, so we worked out of our home. And it was funny because a lot of people tell me you should never be in business with your wife, and there's all kinds of stories that go behind that. But it was funny because when we hired Kyle, my wife's and my desk are facing each other, and there's like a lane down the middle. And I asked Kyle to stand in that lane. And I said, are you sure you want to do this? And he looked at me kind of funny, and I said, Kyle, where you're standing is no man's land. I said, it's right between my wife and I, and you are the tiebreaker. So we had a little fun with that. But really, I was at my wit's end, the business-wise. I was at my wit's end. We had rows from like $600,000 a year up to $8 or $9 We even hit 1 million one year and then went back down to 800. We had tried different things that I thought were triable and that they were trying and didn't really get us where we needed to go. So I realized that I was at my wit's end. I didn't know where to take the business. I didn't have any formal college or business training or education. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a coach.
Yeah.
And so when I first met Kyle, he presented some ideas that initially and immediately grabbed a hold of my attention by being things that I'd never thought of, things that I'd never heard of, and things that even just from a common sense standpoint made a lot of sense. And I said, if this young whippersnapper has got a couple of gold nuggets for me, even before he knows anything about our business, I'm sure he's got more for us. And so we made the leap to hire the coach.
And there's too many people, especially in today's day and age, there's too many people that are just trying to go at it their own. And I mean, whether it's free podcasts, whether it's training, YouTube videos, whether it's groups that you can get involved in, and then you see somebody smart in there and you reach out to them and say, would you mind having a half-hour conversation with me? You have no excuse. If you're a remodeler listening to this and you're feeling stuck and alone, you've got to step forward and seek out some help. If you don't have any money to hire a coach, that's okay too. Find somebody locally that you respect. One thing that I love about this industry is people are more than happy to share. They're more than happy to share, but you've got to have the guts to step forward and ask. Right. So it's interesting how, you were struggling, probably year after year, maybe reading a trade magazine here or there. And I kind of remember, because it's 2009, we're coming out of 2008. Michigan probably got hit even sooner and harder. You didn't necessarily have money sitting around. I mean, luckily, I was kind of new and I didn't charge a lot too. But, you didn't have a lot of money sitting around to invest in coaching. It's a risk. Business is a risk, and investing and taking a chance on me was a risk at the time. But what you realized is, okay, we've got some good ideas here. I need some accountability. I need some clarity on this. I need to do something to improve. So if you're listening to this and you're in a similar spot, figure out what the next right thing is to do. Reach out, get some guidance, and take a step forward. Go ahead.
Kyle, I was just going to say that if you are in business for yourself, if you're a remodeler in business for yourself, you've already taken on risk. So you're not completely, absolved from risk, right? So what I would say is lessen your risk by hiring a consultant or a coach, because they will make more sense out of what you're doing, give you the ability to make more profit, and thereby mitigating your risk, because they know things that you don't, or in my case, Kyle knew things that I didn't.
Yeah, I like that. So a couple other things that when I was thinking about where you were, certainly you were doing free bids, free designs.
Yes.
You were at 850,000 revenue, kind of taking home about 85, 90, which is a good living, right? But you were also working your face off. When you factor that out to the hourly rate you were paying yourself, it probably wasn't as attractive. Just a lot of not formal processes, right? It's like, I kind of know what I need to do. We just sold a job. Okay, what do we need to do now? You sold everything, kind of sketched things out. So, that probably describes how some people currently are. You project manage everything, you're running to get deliveries, etc. Right. One of the things that I remember early on that we'll go a little bit down, because it's a topic that I think a lot of people think about, is, and I remembered the percentage, it was basically 65% of your projects resulted in 5% of your revenue.
Correct.
65%, so 65 out of 100 jobs resulted in 5% of the revenue. What we were analyzing was, okay, where's your money coming from? Where's your revenue coming from? Why don't you share a little bit about what that means and why we were really stuck on that and thinking about it strategically?
Well, again, I think the mindset of risk is always weighing on the entrepreneur. And I thought that we needed cash flow because the big jobs, the more profitable jobs, were a little bit, few and far between as compared to the abundance of these little jobs. Now I look back at it, those little jobs were all lost leaders, right? We weren't making any money. We were just turning over money. And so the daunting thought when Mr. Hunt asked me, what would it be like to get rid of those 65 jobs that aren't making you any money? And I told him flat out, I looked him right in the eye and I said, I can't afford to. And he goes, let me phrase it a different way. How much more effective could you be as a remodeler on the bigger jobs if you didn't have all of these little jobs that are just stealing so much of your focus and your time? Would you be able to run better jobs, execute them better, make happier customers, get more referrals from the bigger jobs, the ones you really want? He won. Kyle won. That was just that was an argument or a presentation of a fact that I needed to hear. And so it was very scary, but we did it. And the rest is history.
I said all that in 2000. I mean, I know I'm kind of smart now.
Very smart.
Said all you. I think you made it sound a lot smoother and better than I presented it back then. But it was definitely a conversation. It is risky, and it still is. How do you turn down work? Well, that small project might turn into something big. What we have to realize is that you only have so much time.
Right.
And one of the biggest keys, hear me now, and Bret can add 2 cents to it, the key to happy clients, a less stressful remodeling business, is to do the proper upfront design and planning. You cannot skip over it. You have to have strong upfront planning. Get your selections made. Get the details figured out. Have strong pre-construction meetings. That is impossible when you have 10 little small projects going. You just can't do it. So strategically, to make the decision, you might not do it overnight, but to say strategically, we're going to do fewer jobs, bigger jobs, and do them well was the strategic right decision. Sometimes, depending on the business, it might look a little differently. Anything you'd add to that?
Well, yeah, and in the vein that what you're just talking about, all of those steps that are necessary to complete a job that makes their customer happy is a project you want to leave behind and is also profitable. Guess what? We had to learn to charge more because our clients, our prospects didn't know what I was now learning as far as what we had to do in order to make them happy. They didn't care what I have to do to make them happy. They just know they want the job done. They want it to be a good experience, and they wanted the price to be competitive. And so when we figured out how to do that, it was like we wrote our own ticket to the moon.
Gotcha. So the other thing you started being a little bit more discerning on is who is our ideal client and who is not our ideal client.
Right. There are those who they think they actually know everything that a remodeler knows by way of technical skills. In other words, they know how to build a deck or they know how to hang a door. And so because they know how to do the technical vocation of what we do, they many times, at least some people, will think that they're as smart as us and that our skill is actually just a commodity that they buy and they try to get it for the cheapest price. And so those people, as we all know, if you've been in business very long, they don't make good customers because it's like the tail wagging the dog. They don't want to learn how hard it is to run a business and to complete a job on time and profitably time after time after time. It's one thing to build a deck for yourself on weekends. It's another thing to make people happy and make a profit and keep employees happy every day of the week for 33 years.
That's right. So what we've covered so far is the idea of don't go it alone. Whatever that looks like, seek out advice. We've talked about think strategically about who your ideal client is and your ideal projects are. Okay. The next thing we're going to go to is something you just mentioned, which is pricing. Pricing. You said, you know what? In order for me to deliver a higher quality experience, I needed to look at what I was charging and my markup and all of that. Talk to us about maybe your where you were in understanding your financials. And just over the years, let's just talk about how your mind has been thinking about numbers and financials and profitability. Kind of walk us through maybe that progression.
It's a tough thing to wrap your head around. Remodeling in general is a very intense, a lot of moving parts business. And so because of that, at any given time on the calendar, there is almost no way to know how much money in the bank is actually yours. And so because every job, it may have just been completed but not audited yet. Another job is just on the upfront of design and planning, and you've got a little bit of money trickling in from that. And then you've got 4 or 5 jobs that are in the middle of production. One's 50%, one's 75%, and one's like 15%. So at any given time, you've got all of these financial dynamics going on, and you got to go, well, yeah, I've got $500,000 in my bank account, but I have no idea how much of it's mine. And so that really was unnerving, and bless Kyle that he began to help me understand. Again, I'm not college trained. I don't know what a balance sheet looks like. Well, at least I didn't. I didn't know what a balance sheet looked like or a P&L statement. I didn't know what those things were and what they were meaning to me and my business. And so it was necessary that I knew, because as the business grew, my potential for liability was growing. If I didn't know, I might have $1 million or $1.5 million in the bank, and I might also be $500,000 in the red and not know it. So as the business grew, I become very aware that I needed to know that. And so if coaching did one thing for me, I guess in just a very basic ground root approach, is it gave me the knowledge that I needed to gain more knowledge.
Interesting.
About the business aspect. The technical vocation, putting boards together and making them look good, that's one aspect of it. But understanding the business dynamics and the financials, that was something that became very obvious to me very quickly. And the value of working for good people, I don't think that we can diminish that. If there's somebody who wants to hire you, they recognize your professionality, they recognize your value in the community for what it is that you do, and they're willing to pay for that, that's your ideal customer. Find as many of them as you can.
Yeah. When it comes, what you said there of financials opening the door to understanding the business side, y'all listening to this, I'm talking to my Southern clients now, people, podcast listeners, y'all. Bailey, how are we doing in there, by the way? Is everything going well? Rob, we doing good? This is very professional, people. We got, he wants me to a little closer to the microphone. We got a sound person. Bailey's probably taking notes of, hey, when we do this again, you screwed this up and that up. I don't know. But so far, it's going well. But as you were saying, like, y'all watching this and listening to this are probably pretty good at actually doing the work, right? But what about, are you as good of a business person as you are a remodeler? Right? And let me pause for dramatic effect. A pause is a gift to the person you're talking to, by the way. You should use this in your sales. Are you as good of a remodeler, are you as good a business person as you are a remodeler? That was a good pause, right? And if not, you have to realize that if you're going to be successful in this business, you have got to take the business side seriously. It ain't going to get easier next year, the following year. You can't just keep putting it off, but numbers don't click for me. How's that? I just remember you, and I see this with my clients, but you just kept coming at me with, okay, I think I got that, but tell me this again, tell me this again, tell me this again. The humility to say, hey, I kind of get it, but I need it a little bit more. Yeah. Hey, I thought I had it, and then I was thinking about this. How does that work again? So you've got to continue to strive towards excellence when it comes to the number side. Job costing, understanding your profit and loss statement, understanding how we come up with markup, understanding the difference between gross profit and net profit, understanding that your markup and your cost of goods sold and your gross profit all come together, knowing what slippage and grippage is. These are the reasons that if anybody follows my content, I'm constantly talking about those things. Right. Or line up any other business coach, line up Remodelers Advantage, line up Brian Kaplan and Vicky Suter, and line us all up. We all are talking about the numbers. We're all talking about the numbers because it's vitally important. And what you're describing there is, man, when I was first kind of getting going with coaching with you, I was not strong on the business side, and just year over year, you have continued to strengthen it, which helps you lead better, which helps to lead to more profitability, which helped you hire people, et cetera.
Yes. So I think that it would be fair to say, at least from my perspective, that there are jumping off points, I guess, right? So the first jumping off point is I have a technical vocation and I want to put it in the marketplace for hire. I'm a really good builder. I can make things beautiful. I can make them plumb, level, square, and just absolutely adorningly beautiful. Okay. And they hold up well. Okay, so that's the technical side. The other side then is when you start getting a lot of people that want to hire that and put that into play, then you got to understand your financial side. Mm-hmm. And then when the numbers start getting so big that you have to start hiring people, then you need to get into that side. So there's three distinct different, in my way of looking at it, graduation academies, right? So the first one is the technical graduation academy. The next one is financial, which is going to build the base of your business strong. And then the other one is getting help. And knowing what to do there, because now you are also a coach of your own, because you're promoting growth and opportunity for the people that work for you.
Yep, no doubt. Okay, so financials, and then I want to touch a little bit on pricing. Bret, I can't charge that amount. I can't charge that kind of markup. Nobody will sign with me. Nobody will do that. What do you say to somebody with that vague answer, with that vague comment?
People always put the amount of money commensurate to their perceived value.
Ooh.
So you can't compare your price against someone else unless you can rightfully and truthfully compare what you offer to that other entity.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you know the internal workings of their business, you have no idea what they're offering for the price they're charging. And so you can't let that get into your head. I told my team that you show me what it's like. You show me what it takes to do the job right, from the marketing to the sales to the design to the contracting and to the production. Team, every time that we have a problem, we need to understand what caused that problem and how not to let it happen again. We are not a shaming company. We don't look for who's at fault. We look for what happened that we can avoid so that that doesn't happen again, which makes a real safe workplace. But in doing so...
That was a golden nugget, people, by the way, if you're listening carefully. That was some good advice.
And so in doing so, I told my team, you show me what it costs to build and do a good job. You show me what it costs to make the files complete and detailed with everything that is needed in them from the designer standpoint. You show me what it costs to get a good salesperson and get them up to speed and what the commissions are. Now that I have a full understanding of all of the costs associated with turning out a great remodeling experience and a great product, that's what I got to take to market.
Mm-hmm.
Because to do anything less means, okay, where do I want to shortcut my clients, or where do I want to shortcut my employees, or where do I want to shortcut my family? So, and the answer is no. I don't want to shortcut my customers. I don't want to shortcut my employees. And by golly, if we're taking on a lot of risk and working hard, I don't want to shortcut my family either.
So what you just heard is the end result of Bret's maturing on the pricing side of going, tell me what it's going to take to deliver a great experience. We're going to correspond that with what our markup needs to be in order to afford that overhead and that talent. And then I need to go out there and charge it. We need to make sure also what you said of, what you charge needs to be, did you use the word commiserate? I've never used that word before. Commensurate?
Commensurate.
Okay.
To the value you're
to the value. The way I would put it is that the value needs to be worth the price you're going to pay.
Right.
That's how I would say it, but I'm not as fancy as you.
Okay.
Yes. So you build up the value and make sure, look, you can't charge a huge price point if you're not delivering a great experience. But the greater your experience, the more value it is to the prospect. Now, rewinding a little bit, so you kind of shared the end result, which was very good. But also just as you go from where you are to charging more, even if you haven't refined exactly how much you need to charge, sometimes charging more is just flat out confidence. You know what? I know I need to be charging more. I got to start somewhere. I'm going from 1.30 to 1.40. Mentally, it's hard for me to understand, and I don't know if people are going to go for it, but I know that I need more gross profit to add to my team and to be more profitable. Some of it's just flat out just doing it.
Yeah, there's a lot of head trash, that's for sure. Mm. So what I did is just went up in like 5% increments. I had to prove to myself that my market would buy it. So when I saw what my needs were, I said, oh boy, I need to raise the price. Well, let's raise it up 5%. I think that nobody, because I looked at it like, if I'm selling a $100,000 contract, I don't really think I'm going to lose it for $105,000. Mm. I think I can build that kind of value. And so I began to take incremental steps, and lo and behold, when people would sign the contract for the 105, that gave me confidence to go, well, maybe they would have gone 108. Mm-hmm. And so we slowly built that model like that. We would have probably 10 price increases a year for a few years, just little nudge, because I also had to build the confidence of my team.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so we talked about pricing and kind of the sequence there and some good advice there. The next thing that I want to hit on, which I think has been very key to taking you from where you are to where you are today, is really embracing this is how we work. This is our process. Not just some random thing that, well, sometimes we do it this way, sometimes we do it that way, but really embracing 5 powerful words, this is how we work. Talk about, and maybe do even a little coaching on the importance. If you're sitting, let's say there's, I don't know, maybe there's like 100,000 remodelers listening to this, or maybe 100. somewhere in between there. If you're talking to those remodelers and we're talking about this is how you work and the value of getting clear with your process, what do you have to say and teach about that?
As the person who sees everything that goes on in our business, I have to remind myself that customers do not know what I know. I have encouraged our team to not give away their authority, not give away their knowledge. In other words, the customer many times will have ideas that they think are really good ideas. And sometimes they even want to have control. Yeah, I said they want to have control. Mm-hmm. We are very aware of customers who want to have control because they don't make good customers. Either we are a professional remodeling firm or we are not. And if we are, that means we know what we are doing. And that means we cannot let our customers tell us what to do. I know that they think that it's all for the best, but we need to educate them. And we all need to be very strong-fisted about who's in control. As soon as the customer gets in control, as soon as the customer figures out a way to save money, it always costs us money, and we all know that. If you've done it once or 10 times, you know every time that a customer is looking out for their wallet, yours is going to be opened into the equation. And so the answer is no. The answer is just no. And it's also a way of protecting your team because they want a career. They want a longevity spot. And if we're making good decisions and if we're keeping them protected from bad customers, then they love going to work.
Yeah. And it's not no for just our benefit. It's no, you can't have Uncle Chuck do the electrical. No, you can't buy your materials directly. No, we do need to charge for design and project development.
Yes.
This is how we work. And it's designed to give you a project that is on time, on budget, and a wonderful remodeling experience. And continue, just like on the financial side and building the confidence up, what you've done is really, really embraced this is how we work, and this is our process, and it's to protect my team and us, it's to protect our profits, but just as much, it is to deliver a great experience to the client. Without it, or every time we shortcut it, it comes and bites us in the butt.
Every time.
Can I say butt on a podcast?
Probably.
Okay.
But yeah, we try to educate people. I mean, nobody likes a hard no without an explanation. We try to help our clients understand that we have tried this in the past, and here are the shortcomings of that. And so we remind them that chances are the reason that you contacted us and the reason that you're working with us is because you've heard that we're a good quality company and that our processes make a great remodeling experience. So I remind them every time that we interject an unknown into our formula, we have an unknown situation that may produce a not so good a circumstance or a not so good of a remodeling experience. And so we tell them that we won't risk that for them.
Would you say that if somebody's listening to this and we go to their website for the remodeling business, that there should be a tab at the top that says our process?
I'm probably guilty, and I'm hoping I'm not alone, but I never look at my website.
Okay, you have it. No, I'm not. Yeah.
Okay.
You have it.
Okay.
When we go to oddfellowscontracting.com, there's a thing that says process, okay. and the reason is because good marketing attracts the right client and it repels the wrong. You absolutely have it there. You thought I was tricking you there. The answer is absolutely they should.
Yes.
Because otherwise, they're approaching us. People that reach out to you, if they've reviewed that, they understand that you're going to have an initial conversation with them. There's no charge for it. They also understand that after they get a ballpark range, then we move into design and project development. And here's how that looks. You've got it all spelled out for them.
Right. There are companies, corporations, if you will, who've done a great job at identifying who their customers aren't. And every one of the customers who aren't one of the customers for that entity knows it. Mm-hmm. And so what Kyle's talking about is we want to have an obviousness that when the people who are not ideal customers or their projects are not ideal, there is some way that they can get on our website and they can discern that for themselves and go, I got to move on. This isn't my company. Yep. And that's what we want it to do. We don't want to have a personal face-to-face appointment in order to disqualify that job or that customer.
Yeah, we got to protect our time. Mm-hmm. That's what the process helps us do, is protect our time and qualify the customer. So I'm doing it as a professional podcaster, just glancing over at the little countdown clock. We got about 20 minutes on our goal for today. And we have just gotten done covering financials and pricing. We've talked about our process. The next thing I want to talk about is team and team building. and then after that, marketing, because marketing is something you've taken seriously and invested in. So next up, I want to talk about the team. A huge reason you've been able to pull yourself back from the day in and day out, to the point where now so much of the things you were responsible for, you are no longer responsible for. There's some of you listening to this that's your desire, is to really pull back and just manage your team and manage the business. Bret's been able to do that here in the last year or two. So talk about the team. You could go a couple different directions with it. One, just emphasize maybe the importance of that, importance of creating roles, that it's not always super clear, and sometimes you just got to start with something, and over time it might change. But just talk about the team and how you've approached that and how you've built it out.
Right.
That's a big matzo ball right there, but
it really is, and probably more than we could cover.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do my best to help maybe some people understand what things I've learned. I want to be very clear. I don't consider myself highly intelligent, but I do consider myself able to recognize good when I see it. And so because of that, I'm able to pick up things and continually progress towards a greater knowledge and a greater ability to run my company. So when it comes to people, I probably was like a lot of people, and that was I would hire anybody who would show up and say, I can do that. I didn't have a way of testing their ability. I didn't have the ability to have them demonstrate their skills. I took them at their words. So they had stated ability, not demonstrated ability. So that's a big one for us. We need to find people that can demonstrate their ability. We need to set up some kind of a testing procedure that they can prove to us that they know what they're doing. The other thing...
Yeah, so pause there. How do you do that?
We have a battery of tests.
Okay.
They're written, they're pictorial, they're written, question, answer, multiple choice, lots.
Good. And then you're going to say, and the other thing.
And the other thing is to help them understand that these new people, help them understand that the culture of the company is equal or perhaps even more important than the battery of tests that they just took for technical vocation.
Say it again.
Culture, their culture. And I go down a few scenarios with the people. For instance, I tell them, if something happens and you did something wrong, we want to know about it, not so we can blame you, not so we can chastise you or shame you, but so we can try to figure out how to not let that happen again. We try to help people understand that Oddfellows culture is that every person that works for Oddfellows understands this term: best, most, right way possible. Let me say it again.
Like a tongue twister.
Best, most, right way possible. Everybody knows at Oddfellows that there is one thing that the boss expects, and that is that they do everything that they're doing the best, most, right way possible. That doesn't say perfect or perfection. It didn't say excellence. It said the best, most right way that you possibly know how to do it. And I tell every one of my employees, if you do that, you will always make me happy.
I think we kind of have to work on the wording of that, though. It's a little clunky.
Yeah, but it's fun.
But it makes
it's unforgettable.
I get it.
So what that does then is it sets the stage for expectations. I tell people during the interview process, if you get what I'm saying, then chances are you'll work out good here. If you do not understand what I'm saying and you think it's all a bunch of just gibberish and pie in the sky, glass water half full kind of stuff, and you're just not into that, I'm just telling you right now, you probably don't want to waste your time.
So one thing you emphasize there is culture. I remember it was probably about 4 years ago. I remember you very clearly kind of putting a line in the sand and saying, I'm done with C players.
Yes.
No more.
No C players.
Even though I need to get the work done, even though I could justify it till I'm blue in the face to keep that knucklehead client who's not showing up, who's not stepping up on the team, I'm done with it. I'll take whatever consequence that has. A couple things happened. One, you started taking recruiting way more seriously. And you had this mentality of, we spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on this, that, the other marketing. Why are we not spending really good money on recruiting? And you started taking that more seriously. But the other big thing that came out of it is no more knuckleheads, is what I'll summarize it as, is you kind of went down and had more of a core group, but they were really solid. And what we all need to realize is that good attracts good. great attracts great.
Yes, it does.
And I remember not only you saying that, but just kind of witnessing it of going, where do our best employees come from? Referrals from our best employees. And now that we were getting rid of the knuckleheads, they were wanting their guys and their team members, their buddies to come work. Guys, this is a good environment. It's a great place to work. So a couple things there, what I just said. And then the second thing is we don't understand how much it drags down the team when you hold on to that knucklehead.
Yes.
The knucklehead, and you guys all know who I'm talking about, that knucklehead will drag it down. He also has, or she also has, a lot of leverage. If you're not recruiting, if you have nobody in the pipeline to replace them, well, that knucklehead's got a lot of leverage, especially right now when we've got a lot of work to get done and produce.
Right.
So you can comment on that, but I think that's been a very big key for kind of that team topic for you.
Yeah, it really has. Like Kyle said, good people attract good people. Everyone who wants to work and wants to be a professional grade carpenter or wants to be a professional grade whatever, everyone who really wants that has a second want and a third want. So the second want is they want to be assembled with like-minded people so that they know that they've got a really good chance of letting their abilities shine and produce and grow into something phenomenal. The other thing that they want to be cared about, Kyle. They want to know you care.
Yeah.
You get a person who has a great skill set and they want to throw in with you and help you take your business to the moon. By golly, the only thing that they want in exchange for it, obviously besides a paycheck, they got to make a living, but the only thing they want for it, they just want to know that you're grateful.
Mm-hmm. Especially the good ones.
They want to know that you care about them and their family. They want to know that you are going to do everything you can to create a safe workplace and a profitable workplace and a workplace that has opportunity for growth. And speaking of growth, everybody likes to work for a growing company. Everybody likes it when their company is getting awards and merits and things of that nature. Everybody wants to be associated with that.
Especially when they feel like they're part of it.
When they feel like they're part of it, right?
That's good. That's good. And one thing that the labor pinch is doing, and I'm just seeing it more and more, you can't be a jerk as a boss anymore. Nope. and get any, it is an employee's market. So I'm seeing where people are like, well, even if I don't want to bend over backwards, I kind of have to keep good people here. Even if it's forced like that versus maybe proactively going, what is the culture I want to build here? What do I want people that come and work here every day to feel? You were a little bit more proactive with it. We all need to be thinking about it. How do you make it a wonderful place to work? A couple things you've done. You're up to 25 employees. Systems and processes are very important for people to know what they need to do day in and day out. It reduces the chaos. It reduces the noise when you have solid processes. Are you 100% perfect with all your processes? No, good answer. That's what I was hoping you were going to say. It's a never-ending thing. We always have to work on it. But that's big. That's very key. Tracking things that matter, that's key. And you've done a few other things. One, you've taken the benefit side seriously. How are we going to keep and retain good team members? We got to have good benefits. 3-day weekends. That's interesting. So talk about the 3-day weekends and how that's going. I haven't talked to you about it in a while, but and then also how have you been approaching the benefits? Give me a quick summary of those two things, because then we're going to marketing.
Yeah, the benefits we continue to hear from our employees because we have open dialogue, and that's really important, I think, to have open dialogue so that people aren't afraid to send their ideas upstream, right, and see if they get any traction. So one of the things that we heard from interview people that were top notch, wanted to come on board. They would go, "Oh, you don't have insurance. Okay, yeah, well, I need that," and we would lose opportunity. And I thought, well, geez, I can't afford that yet. They're going to have to go to work for a bigger company than ours because we just can't afford that. And then those types of things just continued to impress on me. And much like what I had challenged the team with is show me how to build it right, and then we'll figure out how to deal with the cost. I kind of took that approach too. When I realized that adding only 1.5% to our markup would pay for the insurance, I thought, I'm never going to lose a $100,000 job over $1,000. That's an easy one. And look what I can do for my employees. And so we did that. So we have major medical, it's fully provided. And then we have optical, dental, and Aflac that is...
Aflac.
payroll deducted.
Am I allowed to do that? Is that trademarked?
Probably.
I got a thumbs up from my sound engineer.
Yeah. And so I lost train of thought.
And then
here.
the 3-day weekend.
Okay, the 3-day weekend. I thought to myself, what is outrageous? What would be something that everybody would want to come to work at our company for? And I talked to our production manager, and I said, Tammy, let me ask you a question. How hard would it be for you scheduling-wise to give all of your guys one Friday off a month so they could have a 3-day weekend every month? And she says, well, because of, inspections, trades, coming in and out of jobs, she goes, I'll bet I can make that happen. She says, give me a couple of days to think about it, and let's see what I can come up with. In those 2 days, she put together a 12-month calendar, and it shows everybody in our company having one 3-day weekend every month. And we've been operating that way. And when I told the company, when I told them in a meeting, I said, listen, guys, we're going to try this. First of all, I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if we can afford it, but I think we can. I said, we've done some, statistical, interactions, and we think that this is going to be fine. And so, but I told them, I said, listen, guys, this is not a policy change. This is a trial. We'll see how it goes. If I have to take it back, it's because one of two things. Either you guys are abusing it and you're trying to parlay your weekends with other types of paid days off and other things. And I said, if you guys start doing that, or, for deer hunting season, you're all trying to get, whatever. I said, and it starts becoming adversarial between us or whatever, problematic, I said, we'll stop it. And that started back in October. So December, January. Yeah, so 5 months now. We have been running with that, and it is phenomenal. The guys are going out into the community, out to the supply houses, and they're telling everybody, you guys get any 3-day weekends? You guys get any 3-day weekends? I think they're kind of smug about it. But
the other thing you mentioned to me about it is, I think when you first implemented it, you were like, a couple of the guys just ended up staying longer and working longer, on Thursday to get their Friday off, so some of those unintended consequences, like how much production are we really losing? But where that started was, how can we do something really cool for our team?
Right.
If you were working out there, you'd love that.
Yes.
Would that build your loyalty? Absolutely. Would your spouse and your family look forward to that once a month thing? Absolutely.
Yes. And so that's exactly what we have. We have the wives calling sometimes and saying, when is my husband's Friday again? Because I'm planning blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that is so cool. That is so cool.
Good. All right. I'm not going to tell people that we took a potty break. That would be unprofessional. But we may have taken a potty break because we can do that because this isn't a live show. But we did have a chance to recap things. We feel like the story that we're unpacking so far has been good. Hopefully you're seeing kind of where Bret was, where he is today, and the key reasons how he's gone from here to there. The next thing I wanted to touch on, and then we'll kind of do a little rapid fire wrap up, is marketing. Marketing is something that we all know that we need to be doing. There's a lot of different ways to market. Your marketing budget, I'm just thinking back to several years back where the percentage that you were spending on marketing, or just the raw dollars compared to your revenue, was decent, was sizable. You were truly investing in marketing and building the brand. First, do you want to sing your jingle?
Oh my, I don't even know if I can.
Oddfellows Contracting, beautiful changes, spaces. Well, we need to work on.
Is what we do, making your dreams come true.
There we go. Wow,
yeah, something like that.
Beautiful. So you did some TV ads, etc. Talk to us about the importance of marketing and making the investment of time and effort and moolah in that.
The first thing I want to encourage everyone to really grab a hold of, and I say this all the time and to as many people who care to hear it. You ready? Everything is marketing.
Ooh.
Everything. Everything, and here's why. As far as a customer is concerned, or a prospective customer, every single interaction and every detail is telling them, I hired the right company, or did I hire the right company? There is no in between. So if you have enough incidences where they're asking themselves, did I hire the right company? Then your marketing was misleading. Marketing should be nothing more than a voice that tells the truth about an organization. So the first part is the culture. The second part is the processes. The third part is talking about the culture and the processes to the people who need to know. So obviously we've all heard advertising that overrated or overbilled the entity, only to find out when we had experience with that entity that it wasn't what we expected. So it has to be very transparent. Marketing has to be very transparent. Now, from an advertising standpoint, we've always believed in trying to get that word out to our people, to our market. Because of the sales I was in before getting into remodeling, the one thing I didn't want to do is go out and knock on doors. I didn't want to go to social gatherings and try to convince people there that they needed to hire me. I didn't want to be that type of a marketer. I didn't want that face-to-face, what I call on the hustle all the time kind of marketing, right? So I wanted the ability to focus on what I love to do, which was to build things and pay to make the phone ring. So that was my choice early on. And so we did that from almost day one. We did Yellow Pages first. A lot of you probably don't realize.
For you young whippersnappers, they used to drop off books at people's houses and they put ads in there.
And that wasn't cheap. For anyone who tried to buy advertising in the Yellow Pages, it was $1,000, $1,100 a month. It was not cheap. But for us, that's all we could afford. And then we went to radio, and then from radio to TV. We tried our hand at like direct mail. We didn't get anywhere with that. All of our vehicles are lettered and that kind of thing, and we put signs in all the yards. So that's all marketing too.
Don't overlook that, right? Those are basics. Though, that branding. You know, you've heard it time and time again. You got enough vehicles going around. We just see your vehicles everywhere
all the time.
When they see the activity at the job site, plus the trucks, plus the job site sign, plus being active on Facebook, plus working on search engine optimization. There's not a magic bullet when it comes to marketing either.
There is not. You know, everything builds on itself. It's a synergistic effect. Person will see a sign here, then they'll see an advertisement here, and then they'll hear somebody over here in a conversation, and then they'll be researching something online, and then there will be a pop-up come on there. So it's a continual effort to get into their minds so that when the time is right, they already have that awareness that we're out here. You know, it's that time to marketing cycle. As we all know, that remodeling isn't something that people do weekly. It's not something they do monthly or even annually, but maybe once or twice in a lifetime. And so marketing has to be effective so that when the time is right for them, they know who you are.
Love it. Well, this has been, we're gonna round the corner, round third, head towards home here to wrap this up. But what I'm hoping that people heard here is the story of a remodeler who understood that he didn't have it all figured out and needed to get some outside help, has a thirst for knowledge, understands that this game of business is never ending, and that it's a constant look at what can we improve next. We didn't touch on it a lot, but just being hyper-focused on processes, on systems, on creating checklists, and then implementing them, people forgetting about them and getting back to them, that's business.
That's business.
Getting very clear with our process, getting very clear and confident in our numbers, investing in marketing and truly investing in people and the team. Is there anything else? I feel like that team thing, we unpacked a few things there. Is there anything else you'd add to the team part?
There's another saying around our office that I will take credit for, and that is the relentless pursuit of better. Our entire company knows what that means to me. Some people might say, well, Bret, you know, I mean, when is enough going to be enough? I mean, really, you need a $10 million company or you need $100 million? I mean, when's enough? And if you think that, then you kind of are missing my point. Relentless pursuit of better doesn't mean bigger, doesn't mean the biggest. It means that every day, try to learn something today that you can implement tomorrow. And the synergistic effect of little pieces of wisdom, little pieces of knowledge should actually make you better today than you were yesterday and better tomorrow than you were today. If you embrace that concept, that we are on a relentless pursuit of better. So if you're gaining this knowledge by the wayside, just along life's journeys, if you're gaining that knowledge, why not employ it? Why not share it with your team? Why not show them the books you've read? Why not send them?
I know, but I do that, Bret, and then it falls on deaf ears, or they don't do anything with it.
And you got the wrong players.
Or they're just overwhelmed. You need to be consistent with yes. Or they just, they didn't hear it that day, but be relentless about it.
Another thing I heard from a real big remodeler down south was that as soon as you start thinking that you sound like a broken record, repeat it again.
Yeah. Yeah. There was another thing that I thought you were about to use the phrase. You told me this story of you being in front of your team, and you use this phrase, who here, raise your hand. You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I do.
Raise your hand if you have reached your full potential.
Actually, the question is, how many people knows their full potential?
Well, hang on. I'll tell them how I said it.
Okay.
How I remember it. Who here has reached their full potential? And when you think about that, like if I legitimately asked everybody listening to this or asked myself that, like who is going to raise their hand at that? What, are you going to admit that there's nothing else you can improve? Right? How did you phrase it?
Yeah. Who here knows their full potential?
Knows their full potential.
Yeah. And then nobody raises their hand. So the next question is, who in here wants to limit their potential? And nobody ever raises their hand. And so then I ask them, do you mind if I try to help you realize your full potential? And they never say yes, or they never say no to that.
Right.
Because everybody wants to be the best that they can be.
Right, and it's setting a tone and culture of continual improvement. You want to hang around us? You want to hang around Oddfellows Contracting?
Yeah.
You're not going to be complacent. You're not going to be sitting still. You're going to be better today than you were last month, and certainly where you were last year. And you better be reading, and you better be studying, you better be paying attention, you better be thinking. Think, guys, think when you're out on the job site. How can we do this better? If that's relentless and that's coming from the top down and mid-level and all the way from the bottom guy, that runner who says, hey, I'm running. If you would have just told me about this yesterday, I could have done this and done 2 more things today. Now we got a company on the move. Go.
So our competition are not the people that are in business against us, or if you will, in the same industry. Our competition is our customer reviews. How can we get better? How can we eliminate any type of thing that is causing a black mark, if you will, or an indiscretion, or something that is not as efficient as it should be. So that is the relentless pursuit of better, to be the best that we can be for our customers, to be the best company we can be for our employees, and to help each other just have a better life, a better husband, a better father, a better anything. It all is transferable into personal lives as well.
Yep, I love it. I've already recapped a bit of what we were covering today, so I feel like we recapped it. I did throw that question out there of like, we touched on a little bit, impact coaching had, or you can talk about me if you want for a second. I'll blush a little bit. It's on that list. So you can talk about me for a second, and I'll blush. And then if you can say, look, people listening to this, if you take away nothing else from this podcast, here's something I really want to emphasize, or 1 or 2 things you want to emphasize. So why don't you close us out with those 2 things?
Yes, I've heard it said, and I believe, and I'm sure most would agree, and that is that the remodeling industry in particular is a very fragmented industry. It is generally full of people who learned how to work with their hands, put themselves out for hire, don't have formal education, don't even know that they need a coach. They don't know what they don't know. They're technical people with the vocation of building and remodeling, and they're good at it, and they make beautiful things. But the reality is that if you're going to go beyond that, you do need to know some of these other things. And because of the fragmentation, because of the way people get into this industry, I just want to put a huge shout out to Kyle Hunt in that Kyle has performed at a level that is, it's beyond a game changer. Not just for our business, my business. It was a game changer. But as I see and talk to many other remodelers, many of whom Kyle has worked with, many of whom he has not, but they have somehow had exposure to someone like Kyle. As I see how the rising tide that Kyle Hunt and people like him are facilitating, that it is bringing the industry standards of remodeling to a more professional degree. In general, I see people who used to not be what I would call formidable competition for us. Now their games are changing too, and they're coming right up with us. And so I just want to give hats off to Kyle. He saw the need to help people like me. He sees the need to help people like me. He's worked very hard at giving himself the ability to get exposure to people so they know how to find him. He's done a phenomenal job at creating a platform that he's able to offer different people at different levels, different companies, and I just think the world of Kyle. I've known him for, like I say, 12, 13 years. I've seen him grow as a man, as a coach. He's helped us grow, and by golly, I tell people this: I'm nobody special. I married my customer. There, it's out there, right?
It is.
I
yeah.
married my customer.
Literally.
I did. I married my customer. So my claim to fame, I married my customer who introduced me to God, and the Home Builders Association introduced me to Kyle Hunt. And if there's a story there to be told, that's it.
Well, that's beautiful. Well, I mean, I didn't want you to say all of that, but since you said it, I have to say thank you. I appreciate that. And then, was that good, Bailey? That was, are you crying? Are you crying, Bailey? Rob, you crying in there? I'm not crying. We're not crying. So if you were to summarize and say, look, everybody, out of all the things we talked about, the different areas of the business, hear this one more time, and then we'll kind of wrap up.
There's no secret. Every business is a people business. Okay, we're all trying to get a hold of some money by exchanging a service or a product so that we can make a living, right? But people is the key. People are the key. Mm. And so therefore, if you want to succeed in business, you got to love people. Mm. You got to want the best for them. You've got to want for the right reasons. If I wanted to grow my business to get rich, people would have seen through it a long time ago. Mm-hmm. But I love promoting my employees. I love seeing them grow. I love seeing the happy faces of our customers, and that's what it's all about. At the end of the day.
It's good to keep that front of mind because it's so easy. It's so easy to spin it of like, ooh, that's a sale. Ooh, that's going to lead to this. And it's okay to think about those things,
right.
But we want our mindset on how do we serve these folks? How do we serve these folks? How do we serve our team? The money takes care of itself.
Right. We are growing our company out of a demand for customers who want a great remodeling experience, and we're growing our company out of a demand for people who have great skills and talents and great culture that want to join a great company. And the proof of that, 3 years in a row, we have won the #1 remodeling company, Top of the Town Award in Lansing Market for 3 straight years.
Bam.
To give you some scale, 88,000 people voted. 37,000 of them voted for us.
Woohoo.
So
rock and roll. We're on to it. Well, that was fun, Bret. That was fun. Thank you so much for taking the drive over to Brighton. Thank you all for watching or listening to the Remodelers on the Rise podcast, and we'll catch you next time.